Oh yeah, I can help. Dedicated this other song to Danica, and I think we talked a little bit about this song one time. This lady contacts me recently to help her two kids, and at the same time, I had given notice on this job, so I was looking for a place. So I network. So I say, if you know somebody, and I believe she hasn't contacted me back, and I knew kind of when I was writing it, but I kind of, it's still a mature, accurate way to communicate, and it's networking. And if she assumes that if she lets me help her kids like she contacted me to, if she assumes somehow I'm going to expect too much from her or whatever, when it really it's all about networking, it's not about... Plus, it could be a win-win scenario could form later, but the thing is let's start with what you contacted me with, right? Now, she might assume so many things because she's got some things she's going through, right? And now, is she going to let me help like she originally contacted me with, or is she going to let her assumptions kind of build and sabotage her family herself by not letting me help, Speaking of families that don't let me help, I heard recently somebody I know would have more homes and more riches if only so-and-so would have done this. And it's sad because, that kind of thinking, instead of looking at oneself and focusing on one's own personal development, because it's not somebody else's job to do your personal development, it's up to you. And as I said on my Facebook description top picture there, it says, none of us have been born in a human community. That exact belief must be accepted so that we can try to catch up a little bit before we die, especially if we have the goal to have kids. So I'm listening to this Elvis song, which I've never tried and looked up all the lyrics to, is Love Coming Down. Is, somebody focusing on thing like, providing a home for a family or a career or bringing income and not noticing love coming down. The love that begins, often with a young adult couple. And by the way, there's 4 kinds of love we could describe. And the first 2 relate to making babies. They're very genetically controlling. But the other 2 after that come with what we believe we already have, sentience and sapience, and it creates a cultural repair and evolution over time. But unfortunately, we're still a species that is in the first 2 and doesn't even succeed at the second one most of the time. The first one makes the baby, and it's really not us in control of this most of the time, and that's pretty sad. We're not more in control than a lot of other species about, when a baby's going to come out of there. It's like people say, oh man, I was in this accident, where Martin would never have been in this accident, but there was nothing I could do. Forces of physics, nothing I could do. Well, we had a date, and then this happened, and a baby pops out. There's nothing I could have done. There's nothing you could do. Well, it's actually, if you measure, this sounds ridiculous, but if you measure, like babies being born that are not planned, it's really who you are as a species. There's nothing I could have done. I was born with a penis and a vagina. And this baby popped out, ruined my life. There's nothing I could have done. Now, I love this baby with all my heart, and all the parents identify with this comment. And yet, I'm not going to learn the parenting skills. I'm going to blame my kid for most things. And of course, if Martin offers help, you don't understand, Martin. Yeah, okay. Anyway, so the second kind of love is actually the kind that allows a couple to stay together for the crucial first few years. I don't mean like up to 10 years old, like the first 2-3 years of a baby's maturation. And then, there's let's say the third and the fourth kind of love that would, let's just give you a simple kind of, the third kind of love would form a family, like a human family, okay, that would be successful, where the next generation would evolve a tiny bit more, the concept of the human condition or human standards or whatever it is you want to define there as, an improving proto-society. And the fourth kind of love, provides, the thing that legends and stories are made of is a couple for an entire life that weren't just together because it was unpopular to get a divorce, or he does this thing or does that thing, and they never really knew each other for an entire career. And people say, oh, I want that. Well, no offense, but they probably had a lot of thoughts where they wish the other had died already or something like that, right? You got to find out. But there are the exception that, and sometimes when couples are like this, you also got to analyze that a lot of them gave up, and that's okay if it's their choice to a certain extent. To a certain extent, it's okay. They gave up part of their identity to make this couple successful for that long. Now, that takes sacrifice, but it can't be the kind of sacrifice that you violate yourself, because a lot of the time, that's the kind of violence. Couples that are together their entire lives, that's the kind of violence you can analyze that people have done to themselves or allowed the spouse to do to them or among each other, and that's why they're together that long. And again, this devolves the human condition.